Welcome to the Fearless Homeschool Podcast with Macaulay, talking everything homeschooling, family, learning and life. A space where we can learn and grow together because
why do it alone?
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Fearless Homeschool Podcast. And this one's been a little while in the making. I'm sorry we've had a break, but I'm so excited to be able to bring a discussion on game schooling to you within this season. And who better to speak to than Jacqueline Rickard from There and Somewhere, mum of 7, 4 kids still at home educating following natural learning and unschooling. But they love to get outdoors and go on an adventure with her family. If not outdoors adventuring, they're probably at home cooking delicious things, working on projects or playing board games. Board games have been a part of their homeschooling adventure for a very long time. So let's take a listen. So welcome Jacqueline Rickard to the Fearless Homeschool Podcast. And I'm very excited. It's taken me a little while to find someone who could chat with me about game schooling for this season 1 episode. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much.
Now, what you might not know about Jacqueline is she's actually part of my local group area in terms of the wider Geelong community. And we actually haven't had anyone from down in Vic talk to us. So I'm actually excited to have some Vic represent here on the podcast.
Yay, Vic.
Yeah. We kind of do our own little thing, Victoria, just because our registration is very different. Yeah. All right, so we're going to get into it. So before we get started, a little bit about you and what drew your family to homeschooling, whatever you are willing to share with us.
Okay. I'm Jacqueline or Jackie or Jack or Mum fairly often. I'm married to James and we've got 7 kids, 5 boys in a row and then 2 girls on the end. And they're between 8 and 22 now. When we first started homeschooling because, it was lots of reasons, I guess, but we'd sent our eldest to school for 3 terms. And by March of that year, so I lasted like 6 weeks, not even, or maybe 6 weeks, yeah. I was looking up homeschool curriculum. My parents actually homeschooled my brother and sister and I for a few years. So I always knew it was an option. But I think when our eldest got to kinder age, we were just like, oh yeah, we'll just send him to kinder and we'll just send him to school, and didn't really think about not doing it, just went along. And then after school started, I was like, oh, this is not cracked up to what I thought it would be. He's getting homework and there's other things on all the time, and he was pretty tired. Like, he was coping pretty well. He mostly enjoyed it, but he'd say to me every morning, Mum, I don't want to go to school. I want to stay home and play with the boys. And once he said that a few times, I was like, oh, yeah, no, you don't have to. So I suggested it to my husband, who was not very keen. I think he actually said, homeschoolers are weird, you know. I'm like, yeah, you're married one, remember? So I thought I'll just leave it for a little bit. And I looked up a few different, I didn't know you could homeschool without a curriculum. I only knew of one curriculum at the time, but I spoke to a friend who had homeschooled her older kid the same time that I had been, and she had younger kids as well. So she suggested some other stuff to me, so I looked them up. And then, by September school holidays, James was in, and we took him out, and yeah.
So how many years is that you've been homeschooling?
16 years. Yeah. Be 17 later this year.
Well,
I did say, look, let's just try it for a year. And if it's terrible, doesn't work well, we can always go back, you know. And yeah, we never even thought of going back ever. So turned out good.
It's so interesting how many discussions have started with let's commit to it for a year. And then, because, nothing's permanent. And I think when humans in general are making decisions, we think about this permanency and then we freeze, but nothing's permanent, right? So that whole let's try it for a year gives you a very good chance to understand what's going on. And how before we jump in, because this is always interesting, how did that first year go? Did you settle in quite quickly and easily?
Oh, yeah, we totally did. I guess because it was school holidays first.
Yep.
And then I'd ordered this curriculum, which was coming from the USA, and it was going to take 6 to 8 weeks or something to get here. So I was like, oh, okay, so what should we do now? So we just read library books, played games, did cooking, went on outdoor adventures, took them outside, climbed trees, played in the sandpits, stuff like that. Did a little bit of art, probably. Can't remember that. They weren't very into art at the time. They were very active, 3 little 5-year-old, 4-year-old, 3-year-old boys. So it was lots of, let's go outside now and just playing with toys and, you know.
Yeah.
I'd got some good toy ideas from Kinder, like Duplo and stuff. So they love train tracks. So we did a lot of train tracks. But a lot of going up to the library. Yeah. They did love me reading to them. So we did lots of, I had a baby as well. So I'd be breastfeeding on the couch with the boys climbing all over me, reading these books out loud for hours and hours.
I know, they don't get bored of it, do they? They really don't get bored.
No.
Okay, so what is the main philosophy approach of homeschooling that has drawn you to, like what have you drawn from in terms of your homeschooling? And we know that this changes, but so you can start from the early years if you want and then move through. But what did you draw from for your homeschooling?
Well, I guess when we first started, I really wanted something quite hands-on because I thought they really loved doing things. So anything that they could do was really good. But then reading all the books and seeing how, like just storybooks and stuff, and seeing how much they picked up from that. And I had a really good children's encyclopedia, and they loved picking out a couple of pages for that. Just would read through them, and we had some good kids history books. So we read about how ancient Egyptians, their pyramids and stuff, and then went down and dug a hole and made mud bricks. So stuff like that. So I guess a little bit of Charlotte Mason-ish, I suppose, not very loosely, and then fell into unschooling, natural learning. I had some friends. I was a bit stressed at first, I guess, because my little prep kid came out of school and he was reading really quite well, reading lots. Came out of school and he would not read anything. I was like, oh my gosh, what have I done? But I had made I already knew them actually. I had some friends who were homeschooling, or some of them I knew, some of them I didn't. But I said, what's going on? He was reading really well and now he won't touch a book to read out loud. Like he's happy for me to read to him. And my friend gave me the best advice ever. She goes, how old is he? He's 5. Just don't. What are you doing? Did you know what takes a 5 or 6-year-old a whole year to learn will take a 7, 8 or 9-year-old 6 weeks? So just leave it. And I'm like, oh, I can do that. Okay. So yeah, I guess that was before the regulations, the learning plan stuff as well. All we had to do back then was sign a form to say that we would cover the key learning areas. So it wasn't like I had to try and do anything. It was just here we are. But yeah, reading.
But I think as well,
to them,
we know now cognitively that our kids are not always ready for what the school is. The school system is bringing to them. It's just that, hey, we have to have a curriculum, and the kids start learning they start school at 5. So what are we going to teach them? Well, we're going to teach them to read.
Yeah. And because everything at school is based off reading, whereas at home, it doesn't need to be that way. So he, of course, I just left it, and 6 months later he started reading. He'd be sitting on the couch and start reading stories to his little brothers. But if I stepped in the room, he'd stop. So I just have to stand back and hide around the corner and be like, oh, there he goes. But after a while, he got through that and just started reading everything. So, yeah. So
that's the adorable part, the purpose of it.
Yeah.
I think it's, my son
is now reading to his little cousins because he's the youngest.
Yeah.
And it's so cute. Like, I took a photo the other week of him there and her snuggled into him, having a read, kind of like he did with me. And it's so lovely to watch those relationships.
Yeah, that's really good, isn't it? Yeah,
So
well,
you started unschooling.
Yeah, I wouldn't have called it that. I didn't really know that much about it. I think when I first read about it, I was like, I don't know. But I had spoken to another friend that I'd known for a long time whose youngest child was a few years older than my eldest. And she said to me, you know, the only thing I do is every day we read a book. And that's the only thing like I require him to do with me, or a chapter, not really a book. So I thought, oh yeah, I can do that. Oh, and the other thing was we had another baby, and this baby cried a lot and needed to be held all the time, and I just couldn't put him down, and he fed lots. So I was like, okay, we changed a little bit, got a bit more relaxed, I suppose, then. So I thought, well, if I read to them a bit, and I thought kids who are easy to take places, I reckon kids who play board games and card games can entertain themselves wherever we go. So if we go somewhere that's a bit boring for them, they'll be right, because we'll take a game and they just go off and play it. So I started attempting to, this was a bit of a disaster at first, teach them some pretty simple board games. So if you can imagine, like 5-year-old, 4-year-old, 3-year-old, they're pretty impulsive. We're trying to work on turn taking, counting the numbers on the dice, that kind of thing. So we did reading a story of some sort, playing a game, and then just whatever else we get done, awesome, but don't expect anything else. So, and then that kind of naturally just continued into unschooling, going interesting places. We have lots of mouths to feed, so naturally we do lots of cooking. So getting the kids involved in that, which was also, I think back to when they were little, that was crazy. 4 little kids lined up at the bench, baby in the sling, and we're cooking stuff. Everyone's taking turns on the beaters and tasting things and flour everywhere. Oh my goodness.
So much learning in that we don't sometimes value in terms of the school system, and even us personally who have been through that system. Straight away academics comes up, right? But values and character and respect and waiting your turn and all those things, they're kind of the secondary part of it instead of the and so it's so nice that in that situation you can make that your main focus, really.
Yeah, it works. They're all good cooks now, so it comes through, and they all love board games too.
Yeah.
So that part worked.
The board games grew. So you started with just, this was a way for me to keep my kids entertained and to learn slowly and all that sort of stuff. But it's been something that's now stayed with you as part of your home education, homeschooling.
Yeah, totally.
Journey.
Yeah, they all love games still. And I mean, they've learnt so much, just maths and reading. And some of my kids were, not my eldest, he was a very eager reader, but some of the others were quite reluctant readers. But if you bring out a board game and then suddenly they've got to read the cards that are on it or whatever, they don't mind. They'll go for it. So I can actually check up that they are reading, and they get just extra reading practice, I suppose, when they're playing certain games.
My son's very
heaps of maths.
Yeah. My son's really competitive.
Yeah,
not competitive, but he's actually, my daughter's more competitive, but he is independent, right? So he didn't like, when we first started playing Cluedo, he wasn't old enough to read all the words because not all of them were easy, but we practiced them so he knew what they were, because there's not that many on the list. But I made him a picture list of the Cluedo stuff so he could tick off what cards he had and what cards other people had. And he just did not like that he had to use a different form. So he learned how to read those words because he wanted to use the same one that Mum and Dad were
Yep. Yep. I did a similar thing with Cluedo with a couple of our kids, actually. Yeah. They
So you're
get some reading those tricky words, conservatory.
exactly right.
Dagger.
It's not an easy, it's not an easy one. But you were just saying something. I cut you off about maths. So you were saying heaps of maths came through your
Yeah,
game.
well, depending on what board games you use, yeah, I guess like all your dice recognition and counting, and we played quite a lot of Monopoly Junior, and that's got all the money in it. And then as they got older, don't think I played it with them that often, actually, the real Monopoly. And pro tip, if you play the proper rules, it doesn't take days. No
So
free
read the
parking
rules.
jackpot. Yeah. Yeah. If you want it quick, play the proper rules. But they liked the free parking jackpot and stuff and playing for days. But yeah, I don't have time for that personally. So if I'm playing Monopoly, I need a quick game. Actually, all my favourite games are quick games. They got to take less than an hour. I just don't have time to be sitting around forever waiting for this game to finish. But the kids are often into them.
The longer versions.
Yeah. Yeah, they don't mind. Yeah.
So as you started to see this, like, playing games working and moving and the kids really enjoying it, how did you stumble upon how to use this better? Or were there people or anyone that you spoke to, things that you read? How did you sort of feel for what games
to get? I must have read a few blog posts. I did read quite a lot of blog posts back early days, constantly reading people's blog posts. So I did pick up quite a few games that I hadn't seen here, but they were over in the USA, so I got them posted over. But otherwise, just talking to people, and someone would go, "What? You haven't played Settlers of Catan? You better get onto that," or whatever. And then,
those.
Oh yeah, I love Catan. Everyone, that's a fun game. Not too long, but quite tricky. But you know, it's good to have a bit of skill, but also a little bit of chance. Like there's because otherwise, I don't know why, I'm just quite good at games. Like my sister would tell you that in our childhood, I won every single game. Which I don't think is true.
That's my son. That's what I mean by he's not actually competitive. He just wins.
Yeah, he just wins. Yeah. So sometimes I have to be careful when I was playing with my kids to not try too hard. I don't mean to. And then other times I'd actually ask them, like if it's particularly a game of skill more than chance, do you want me to try hard or do you want me to go easy on you? And then they can choose. If they're feeling like they need a win, then they can say, "Go easy on me, Mum." And then next time they're probably going to say, "Go hard," because they want to really get a good challenge in. So that's a good tip that I learned from somewhere. I think that was in a book I read that wasn't homeschooling related at all, but
that's a real
related,
great way of mindset, like encouraging a type of growth mindset, because you're giving them the chance, and when they know they have that opportunity to push or not, they own it, right?
Yeah, and you don't want them to get discouraged because you're beating them all the time, which could happen in some games.
We do games as part of Christmas presents. So we do board games. Every year we get more board games. I mean, we kind of get them throughout the year because now my son's got a taste of them. He loves them. But that was always a family present to ourselves, was board games. And we've bought Ticket to Ride and Catan and those type of more strategy games now that he's 8. And yeah,
I love Ticket to Ride.
Yeah.
That's good.
That came from a blog, actually. That one.
Yeah, we got a lot for Christmas presents. I think grandparents would say, "What can I get?" Or aunties and uncles, "What can I get so-and-so for their Christmas present?" I'm like, how about this board game? Or, let them choose one. But usually it's better if I choose one. Although we have got some good present. Labyrinth, we got given that one time. That's quite good. Got a lot of play.
So
Yeah.
how do you go with the age spans and games?
I guess we just help the littlest people when they need it. Sometimes maybe if I was playing a game with the younger kids, I think I've kind of got a group of older kids. There's only 2.5 years actually between the older kids and the younger kids. But sometimes when they were younger, now it doesn't matter, but I just adjust the rules a little bit, or that always got to make sure everyone knows the rules before you start. Otherwise, fights break out, pieces go everywhere. It's not very pretty. Yeah, either just teaming up, that can work. Even if it's not a team game, you still take say if there's a 4-year-old who really wants to play, you're like, you be on my team. And usually they're happy with that. And then let them do as much as they can. That's roll the dice and count the spots and play the cards or whatever. Try and point out what card might be good, but yeah, just do it with them, I guess.
Yep.
The little kids.
And your take, like the combination of unschooling and game schooling, and also what was sort of your take on how that unfolded? Did you have to really, like, were you mindful of, okay, they're juniors, we're going to play, did you deliberately play card games that included specific maths? Were you doing research behind that? Or it was just like, we're having fun, we're learning from it, because why I'm asking is, for me, I've looked up a couple of different websites, and we intentionally, we learnt pairs of 10 by playing a game. We learnt near doubles by playing Go Fish. We just added an extra step where you had to say what the near double addition was, right? So were you intentional about that, or was just more the experience and knowing we're learning from it?
Some of them I was definitely intentional about it. I found this game on I guess it was on some blog or something called 4-Way Countdown. And it uses quite a lot of addition, subtraction, division, and multiplication. So that was really good. And this other game I've got called Sumoku. I think that's how you say it.
Sumoku.
Yeah, I've got it right here. Look.
Ah, cool.
Does that work?
Okay. So it's got little tiles in it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got heaps of maths in it. I haven't played it for ages because my kids don't like that one. It's very sad. I love it. It's a bit like, it's that little number game you play on a piece of paper with the squares. It's got 9 squares and then
Sudoku.
Sudoku, yeah. It's a little bit like that, which I love.
Me too.
My kids don't. I'm like, come on. I don't know if it might have been because they were a bit older, and so I didn't go easy enough on them, and I won too many times. Might have put them off, but I don't know. Yeah.
Were there any other games that you intentionally pulled out that you felt really supported stuff that kind of put your mind at ease and went, okay, I know. I guess
spelling games like bananagrams and Scrabble or Junior Scrabble when they're a bit smaller. What are some other? All those kinds of word games where especially bananagrams, it's very flexible.
It is.
You can do lots of things with that.
Yeah. I've never tried Junior Scrabble. We got upwards, but I still find
it's
even
quite good.
Yeah, when they're littler, they still struggle with that one.
That's too tricky, yeah. Junior Scrabble's quite good because it's got the words printed on the board. Mm-hmm. So, and then on the other side, it's got a blank board, I think. But you could easily put your own words on there if you wanted to. But having the words already on the board, so then they just have to find the letters and stick it on. Yeah, that's
awesome. Yeah, that's really cool. It's like when I was doing literacy intervention with kids here, I do group learning just so that my kids had people to learn with, really. But it just became quite popular. And I literally made a Connect 4, but on paper, of words for them to read. And they rolled numbers. So you rolled a dice and you had to pick something. And it was their favourite game. And I was like, really? This is so basic. But they loved it.
Yeah. It's always funny what they love.
I know. So as you introduced this, I'm assuming because it was games, there was no resistance. But were there any kids that were like, this is not my thing, Mum, and you had to do something different with them?
Well, some of them weren't as big of fans of some games. So I just make sure that sometimes I'd get them to pick a game, actually. I go in the morning, right, your turn to pick a game, so then they get to choose whichever game they want, and the rest of us can play it. And then if anyone really doesn't want to play it, whatever, we'll catch them tomorrow or next week. I guess they've got something better to do. So
yeah, that's so good. And with that, I mean, when I asked Jackie if she would join me to talk about game schooling, she's like, look, we are unschooling. I'm not sure we're like true game schoolers. And then what did you say? You had a page of over 100 games that you used?
Not 100. Yes. I wrote out it might have been 25 games that we've used quite a lot. So the favorites.
And you use it, the favorites, yeah. You use them for how regularly, how often were you playing games? Just so people get an idea. Because I think they think, how do you do 6 hours of game schooling? And I'm no one does that homeschooling.
Occasionally, maybe on a winter wet day where it's freezing and awful outside, maybe it might have been non-stop board games, but apart from food breaks. But no, probably like 3 days a week, I suppose. Maybe even some days 4 days a week. My husband was a bit on it too for a while, so he'd often play. We had this really good set of alphabet snap cards when they were really little, so he played lots of that. And alphabet bingo and alphabet go fish and all that kind of stuff when they were little. So, and then the other thing is we have, I guess, a cheat code in that we live at my parents' house. So, and my mum is very fond of a board game or a card game. So she'd often come up and she'd say, hey, it's just a nice way to connect with your grandkids, I think.
So good.
Do you want to play a game? And who wants to play a game? So if anyone was not busy, they'd often go just sit at the kitchen table and play a game with her as well. So it wasn't necessarily always me. And then as they get older, they'll play games with each other, and sometimes I get invited in and sometimes I don't. And the other thing, the other thing is if we have friends over, that's another way. If they're a bit bored and they don't really know what to do, and someone will say, hey, let's play a game of Cluedo or something. Spy Alley. Spy Alley is a good one.
I haven't ever heard of that. What's that one about?
How do I explain it? There's spies from all over the world. There's like 7 different spies, and you got to choose one but not tell anyone what card you have, and then you have to collect the things you need, and other people have to try and guess which spy you are. So
by what you're collecting, basically.
Yeah. So you can collect other things to try and put them off. But you have to try and guess what everyone else is, and they have to try and guess what you are. And then you have to collect everything you need without giving yourself away. Yeah, it's quite fun.
I have a question for you because my son is this and he's only 8. But did you have any of your children, were they boundary pushers? Like, so we have a child, he will always try and see if he can push the rules of the game, and if you notice it. Did you have any of those in your family? Like,
probably sometimes, perhaps not consistently one person, but there are a couple of kids who will be very police like, you're cheating, that's it.
So they don't get away with it.
Yeah.
It's funny.
I think they were all fairly good with respecting the rules. Well,
it's so funny because it's not against the rules. It's his but if I did this because we, in particular, we play Quirkle. Have you ever played Quirkle?
I haven't.
It's really fun.
Back down and play it.
Yeah, it's a really fun. It's patterns basically. So you have 6 different shapes and 6 different colors, and you can either build lines of the whole color with the 6 different shapes, or the same shape with the 6 different colors, and that's how you get Quirkle. But everyone's adding pieces all over the shop, so it's not systematic. And he always really wants to go, yeah, but if I add it here and here, and you're like, yeah, but you can't do that. I know you can see the pattern, but it doesn't mean you're allowed to do that. He's just like, I've got the solution, Mum, though.
That sounds very fun, actually.
Yeah, it's good. I think it's his little engineering brain working.
Yeah.
So as they grew up, how did you continue? Was it just a matter of giving them more detailed games? Did you have to supplement with other stuff? How did your homeschooling evolve as you had teens in the world?
Yeah, I guess we just every so often buy a new game. James often sees interesting games on like Kickstarter and stuff. Most of them I haven't played, but the kids have been quite into them. Can't remember. What's that monster? There's some monster game that they love. I've never played it, but they love it, and they spent hours playing that together. And sometimes I guess they'd go play a game with some other friends and come back and go, oh, we need to buy this game or that game, or they'd buy it with their own money or something like that. And then we just have a bunch of games in the cupboard. Like I bought Cranium when they were really little because we were going to be playing it with some of our siblings, I think. And I think we played it like 3 times, and then it went away, and I thought, oh, I won't get it out till the kids are bigger because they were way too little for it. And then earlier this year we had a cousin over, and I'm like, oh, this is the perfect time to play Cranium. And I brought it out and they loved it. So I guess sometimes we just have them just sitting around, and we haven't played them because they were too hard at the time, and then bring them out. We do have a very big games cupboard, so that's helpful. And then other times just they hear about some and want to buy it, or we hear about something and then get that. But yeah.
That's so... And I have 2 sort of questions. What have you noticed? So for me, it's been really interesting. We've started playing, I'm of an Italian background, and the kids we're teaching them a whole heap. And my mum, like you spoke about the generational, mum has been teaching them Italian card games. And we actually have a set of Italian, it's really fun. And got to teach them like the passion that goes with it, because, you know, when my nonno used to do it, the cards got slammed down and all that sort of stuff. So we're instilling that in them. But we have the cards. We actually have started, like you said, we put a English set of cards or whatever they are, and a Italian set of cards. They're always in our glove box. So no matter where we go, we have those options, and we just pull them out and play and connect as well. And so then I started looking at, because we're doing sort of with our Wednesday learning group, we're looking at different countries through just what we're doing. We started looking at games. Traditional games from different countries, and you learn so much about like playing different traditional games as well.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't have even thought, hey, we're kind of learning about the world through this. And then when you start playing Ticket to Ride, depending on, because I don't know if people know Ticket to Ride, but when you look it up, there's so many different versions, because there's Europe, there's America. Yeah. You start learning about that place in the world without having
the proper
to
names of the cities.
Yeah.
I didn't even know they had proper names. That's terrible. I probably did, but trying to pronounce them. And then where is that? Is that city? Because the countries aren't marked on Ticket to Ride Europe. It's just the cities. So then you got to look up and see exactly which city is that, what country is that in, that kind of thing.
But it sparks the interest in a really fun way, basically.
Yeah. I must have read about it on a blog post, I think 10 days in Europe, and they've got 10 days in Asia and 10 days in Africa. And it's a really fun game, and it's got a map, and you're traveling for 10 days, and you need to collect the cards to make your journey last across the continent. And it's been really good for geography. It's got the cities and the countries on the little cards, and the population and the flags, I think. So yeah, it's quite good.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
And
I think people don't understand when you say you're using games, they do automatically go, but, you know, really?
Learn stuff from that?
And I would like to ask you, because obviously you're a big family. I was one of 4, and we had game nights, and it was always really funny because there was some competitive personalities, some less competitive personalities. Dad sometimes was really tired, so he'd fall asleep halfway through, and we'd always make my mum go with him and it frustrate her. So, you've got, but isn't the connection from it such an interesting part of it? Like, can you see the impact that's had on your kids and their relationships at all?
Yeah, totally. It was such a good example a few months ago when my nephew came and stayed a few nights with us. He's aged right in between my fifth and sixth children, and so he just fits in really well. And that's when I brought out Cranium, and it was just it was hilarious. Everyone was
Such a funny
laughing, and my husband came out and he wasn't even playing, but he was joining in somehow as well. And it was just the best night. They had the best time ever. And they ended up saying, "Oh, can we make sure we play that game? We've got to take it up to Ma and Pa's next time we're up there and get more people to play, because this would be so much fun with all the cousins and the aunts and uncles and stuff playing as well." That was funny. And that, I think Cranium probably covers some stuff that our family doesn't, our kids haven't been super into acting and singing and stuff like that. Even though there's a lot of it in our extended family, they just haven't for whatever reason. And this really got them into that. So that was quite fun as well.
Yeah, it is. It's a really fun. That was one of when we were growing up, or probably actually because it didn't come out, I don't reckon, until I was in my 20s, I reckon, when we sort of got into it. But it was one of the when we did games nights, that was one that came out. And Pictionary always came out.
Yeah, that's quite funny.
Yeah, but even just understanding the different types of words and things that, how they have the different topics or areas, and the kids starting to understand that that's what they're doing. And what was the other, like, just charades, and how it's like there's a doing word, there's a people, there's a place, and so, or describing. And so they're starting to understand that about language, aren't they, really, without having to do much else.
We got one recently, I think it was Christmas, a little bit like Pictionary, called 6-second scribbles. So you've got 60 seconds to try and draw 10 different pictures, and the words are all written on the card. It's all to do with one topic, and it's quite funny as well. But that's a good one for reading and language, as well as crazy drawing. It was quite fun, and it's very quick to play too, if you like a quick game.
You like quick, don't you?
Yeah, just not dragging along too much. Although I love Ticket to Ride, but that's still fairly quick compared to those games that take hours. We had friends one time and they showed me their game collection, and it was quite extensive, and they go for the games that take days. I'm like, I don't think I could.
Do they take breaks? Like, so for those type of games?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm assuming it's just out on the table.
Hours. Yep.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Playing 3 hours every day for 5 days. Like, I got to do the washing.
Now, we've spoken about a lot of pros. Were there any cons that you could think of from this approach?
For me, but I know some people don't like games. So my sister-in-law, she hates them. So that could be a problem. So I guess in that case, I'd either say try and find a game you do like, or try and teach your kids, and then they can just go play them by themselves without you. Or maybe grab a grandparent. That would work too. But yeah, I mean, if you don't like them yourself, that's a bit tricky. But I do, so it's not my problem.
No, and it's so playful. If you're not good at being playful with your kids, like sometimes I sit there and now she's older, but like some of the imaginative play games that my daughter wanted me to do with her, I really struggled with that. Okay. So it was like this happy medium is a game. Like it's still being playful and funny and having that, back and forth without having to think about this doll and her personality and
Yeah, I get that.
All right. So as we wrap up, what books, podcasts, resources, like you spoke about blogs, where would you send people? Is there like somewhere that they can go and start researching games and how they would support and what they tick off and all that sort of stuff, or age groups for them?
Some of the best advice, I reckon, is on home ed Facebook groups. If you just ask on there, what games are you playing? This is my age group. What do you recommend? You'll get 100 answers.
I'm actually going to ask that from when we put this podcast up. I'm going to ask that so I can get a whole heap of different games.
And also on the Hen website, I think there's a couple of articles on that as well. But I would go for that because everyone is up to date. Like everyone knows what's available. And there's loads of people playing games with their kids. So, yeah, most people will have something to recommend to you. And if you've got a particular topic or subject or whatever, if you say, I'm looking for games to get my kids reading more. Oh, Apples to Apples. I would say that. Have you heard of that game?
No.
We found that in Canada. Someone gave it to us. We're in Canada. Yes, it's heaps of reading in that. It's hilarious. Another funny game. Good to play with a big group of kids. Yep. Or adults or both. Yes.
Or both.
Apples to apples, yeah.
Apples to apples.
Yes.
Actually, the one other thing I wanted to ask you about, which I hadn't before we leave, sorry to bring you back in, but what are your thoughts on, like, we're a pretty low tech family at the minute, and obviously sometimes it's trickier when you're choosing not to use that, when boredom steps in, but has board games and your games and sort of stuff been something that, like, an avenue where you can go, okay, you're bored, how about you go grab this, or how about you go do that? Has that been something that has helped them sort of get inspired again when it comes to, boredom?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. We've got enough of a selection of games and probably kids too around here that, like, it's most of the time, if I would say to one of my kids, why don't you go pick out a game and I'll play it with you? I'd say most of the time they'll go, okay. Sometimes they're like, nah, I really don't want to. And then they'll think of something else that they do want to do.
Yeah.
But if I'm offering to sit down with them and play something, then that's pretty good.
Yeah.
So usually they'll take it up. Yeah. They'll either take it up or think of something they'd rather do. And so they won't be stuck there.
And it moves them a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. That's a go-to for my son when he's bored. So how can people reach out to you? Are you on, because you're basically
I'm
very...
on Instagram.
You go. Yep. Cool.
Yep. We've got There and Somewhere. On Instagram. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right.
And if you're in Geelong, obviously, you're in our...
person. Yeah.
Yeah, in Geelong, and you're in our Geelong Home Educators little...
Yep. The Bellarine meetups.
Yep, Bellarine meetups.
It's big, isn't it?
Oh, no. It's very
Geelong's
funny because Jackie and I haven't spoken because we're in the same
Barely
meetup.
Spoken,
Yeah, because there's so many, like, we're Surf Coast. Yeah, it's a very broad place. We're very lucky and blessed to have lots of families around our area that homeschool.
Yeah, there's heaps,
Yeah. So check the links below if you want to follow Jackie. If you're in our area, make sure you just jump in to the Facebook group and you can connect there as well.
Come along to the Bellarine meetup.
Yeah. You'll have people driving from everywhere just to ask you about games now, you realise.
Cool.
Thank you so much for your time. It's been great.
No worries.
I'm going to go back and listen to this because there's so many games I have to write down now.
Yeah.
And like I said, check out Jackie's information in the podcast.
I got to say one more.
Okay.
Go sushi.
Go sushi.
Sushi go.
Yes.
Sushi go. I always say it the wrong way. That's a bit...
It's a fun one, yeah.
Heaps of maths too. Let them add up the scores at the end.
Yep. That is a really good one for maths, and because they want to win, they do it.
Yeah. And the pictures are super cute too. They might make you hungry.
Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see everybody next week for another episode.
Thanks for having me.
Not a problem.
Bye.
I hope you enjoyed our chat with Jackie. Remembering to keep it simple. On some days when other things aren't going well, pull out a board game, play, and know that your kids are learning still. If you would like to find Jackie, find her at Darren somewhere on Instagram. Link is below. And lastly, you can sign up to get a downloadable version of Jackie's favourite, my favourite, and a compilation of a whole lot of people's favourite board games and how they can help your kids to learn. So check that information out below. Until next time, happy homeschooling. Thanks for joining us on the Fearless Homeschool Podcast. If you'd like to stay connected in between episodes, check us out on socials at Fearless Homeschool. And if you'd like to hear more about our Fearless Homeschool journey, sign up to our Fearless Family Fables newsletter. But don't forget to subscribe so that you're the first to know when a new episode drops. Because
Why do it alone?